But I'll tell you what, the thing about the alpaca, it meant if I was dropping one off, it was easy to drop 6 off. I remember the first night, I only dropped the one off, and I rang this couple, Len and Penny. Now, if you're here today, Len, great. Now, Len wasn't in. I spoke with Penny. I said, hi, Penny. Listen, Penny, I've just got involved in the business. I've got some information I'd like you to take a look at. And got to be coming through, and I'll drop it off. Dropped it off. Penny came to the door. Len wasn't there. And I fixed a time the next night to ring back. And I came back, and I rang upline. And I was so excited because I'd done something that some of the successful people had talked about on the tape. And I was fired up, and hey, crikey, I can do this. Next morning, 8:30, knock on the door, go to the door, open the door, and Len. I thought, crikey, this wasn't on any of the tapes. And he proceeded then to tell me, well, hey, thanks Ian, but no thanks, because he'd got involved in some sort of Chinese cookies thing years ago, and then proceeded to try and tell me how something like this wouldn't work. And I was like, yeah, Len, yeah, right, Len, yeah, Len, right, Len. Yeah, thanks, Len. Hey, no problem, Len. And thanks for the information back, Len. And closed the door, and I'll tell you what, I thought, crikey, you know? And I rang upline, because I needed picking up. And, so that was sort of a fun experience. And other things that I learned to do that helped me make phone calls was, dressing smart. Back from work, and I thought, right, I'm going to do it. I'd spend loads of times trying to get to the phone to pick it up. And I'd find I'd dress smart. I'm going to be professional. Treat it as a big business. So I'd pick the phone up. And I couldn't sit down because I was bouncing around, Had to, yeah, right, yeah, and just do it, Anyway, so that's the way I probably did most of my phone calls. Another tip that really helped a lot, it had been suggested by my upline to actually tape my phone calls on my side. Just get an ordinary small cassette player and tape your side of the call. You'll learn much from that as you will from anything that I'm going to say, Ian. That's what Chris said. And, I did that. And I don't know if you've ever done that. If you haven't, do it, because when I listened to myself on that tape, I thought it was someone else talking. And I learned so much from that. Okay, now, the 2 meetings were going to be Thursday and Friday. By Wednesday, I'd had 5 couples come in, and no one to Friday. I rang Chris up and told him, hey, listen, tell you what, Chris, got no one coming for Friday. I thought I'd just let you know so you can do something else that night. He said, don't worry, I'll be there anyway, Ian. You never know, Ian. You still have 2 days to go. And whether there's people there or not, I'll be there. Now, my sponsor lived 160 miles away. To be quite honest, from a business point of view, the least I could do was to meet their time commitment. So I got back on the phone and ended up with another 3 couples coming that Friday night. And actually, from those 2 meetings, it was one of the couples from Friday night that actually got going. So it's well worth inviting people right to the very end. Yeah. Chris stopped over that night, and he took me on a couple of follow-ups. And, it was great because I could learn firsthand on what to do. Chris was going to be driving down that Saturday, and he was saying, Ian, tell you what, there's some follow-ups on the Sunday, and he said, tell you what, I'm going to coach each step of the way in how you can be very successful doing this. And, I was going to learn a lot from the follow-ups he was going to do with me on the Saturday. The only challenge there was on our first follow-up, this couple, dead excited about checking things out. They directed most of their questions to me, and I felt really pleased answering them. And what I should have been doing was sort of saying, well, Terry, that's a great question, Roy, but tell you what, Chris is the man to answer that. Anyway, 2.5 hours later, we left that follow-up, and we were driving along in the car, and Chris was sitting in the passenger seat and said, Ian, if there's something I could say or suggest that would help you move your business on, would you like to hear where it is? I said, yeah, of course I would, Chris. Shut up, next time. I'll tell you what, I never forgot that. After those follow-ups on Saturday, Chris also, he actually put the board up in my lounge and actually went through some basics of the system and taught me some of the next steps. Spending a bit of time before I left home. I left my place that day and went back down south. After then, I took some notes off the tapes, and I'd gone through everything, and I had a clear picture in my mind of how I was going to do the follow-ups on the Sunday. And from the follow-ups on the Sunday, I came away with one of those couples having 2 dates booked. Not only that, I was going to pick them up and take them to the local open in Stone. I'll tell you what, I felt, wow, yeah, God, anyone could do this. Yeah, did great. I phoned Chris up, and I really did feel so high. Just to sort of extend that a bit further, I might add that, sometimes you may be waiting for your upline to do things. you know. Now, my upline is my lifeline, and I wouldn't swap them for the world, and they live 160 miles away. But there is no, on the way to direct, there is no one that I sponsored came from any plans my upline did, or any follow-ups my upline did. But I'll tell you what, my upline kept them in, and they coached me every step of the way. You know, it was like this, you know. It's like this, you know, I'd certainly gleaned enough, you know, I'm a businessman, you know, and I'd heard it said, you know, when you look at the successful people in this business, treat it like a business and be professional about it. You know, ideally I would like to have waited until my thinking was right before I did anything, because there was a lot of fear there. But one thing I did know is that every time I put action in, I always felt better than when I didn't do anything. You know, but having said that, I looked for faults in the system, I looked for faults in Amway, but when I really got down to it, there wasn't any. Unless I wanted to get nitpicky, like I occasionally did with, like, Chris, I've got a cracked cassette tape cover. Yeah, that's really going to help your business, Ian. No, he didn't say that actually, but perhaps you should have done. You know, none of us are perfect, and I admit to myself that I was the one that could get better. You know, a powerful tape at this time led to a turning point. You know, the O'Brien seminar, it just put in perspective what we all have our hands on. I started to apply the system more using my upline credibility. So although I was successful in my conventional career, my conventional business, I wasn't in this. And I was always scared when people asked me, hey, so how successful are you, Ian? Especially when I was doing follow-ups. You know, because I said they could succeed in this. And I felt uncomfortable because I felt as though I was, you know, well, that's a bit of con, because I can't say I'm successful yet, can I? You know? But having listened to that tape, I wasn't successful yet, but I was certainly following successful people. So I learned to point to the people in my upline. Every time, of all the groups I sponsored on the way to direct that my upline did, I talked about, hey, listen, tell you what, let me run through some of the things that successful people are doing. I'll tell you what, you need to meet some of the people that I'm working with, because you're really going to relate to them. And I'd talk stories about people in my upline, about Chris and Anne, Tim and Crown, Brian and Jan and Neil and Ruth. And I'll tell you what, it meant that it found it much easier to help those people see the value of going to a seminar, because they could go and meet these people that I said they were directly going to relate to. They took the pressure away from me. And that was one of the big things that helped me do meetings. You know, I also started to read books on a consistent basis. You know, this was about 2-3 months in. This was one part of the system I've been holding back on. You know, up to this point, I felt the books were for other people. You see, I was confident. I knew I was going to be successful. I knew I was going to do this. I didn't need the books, Chris, to keep me motivated or anything. Now, Chris used his people skills and said, Ian, I know you don't need the books. I thought, hey, see, he understands. And, but he said, but I tell you what though, Ian, what if there's a couple in your group that's got a particular challenge, right? How are you going to know which book to recommend? That's a good point, Chris. So I started to read the books for other people. Yeah. Now, I've got to say that after 1 month of reading 20 minutes a day, I realized I needed the books more than anyone in my group. You know, coming from a corporate background, you know, I knew about the costs of training. You know, the costs of training within this business, to be quite honest, for the knowledge and experience we get, you know, absolutely totally insignificant compared to the cost of training in much of the corporate world.